Hey guys, welcome back to our final segment on our Recaro seat rebuild. So we're finally winding down on our massive undertaking of restoring these Recaro seats. Quite a bit of work involved in getting through all the different components, the upholstery work, the chrome, the hinges, and getting everything worked out just right. The last thing we have to go over here is the headrest. Before we install these, let's go over a video clip I did last summer. I had swung into Autism International. There's some safety guidelines in place, so you can hear me a little bit muffling through a mask there, but Dorian speaks very clearly and is able to explain exactly what he did there to get these headrests to work out for us in perfect fashion.
So this is a headrest that we did for you on the fly. We try to get everything as original as possible with the size and the stitching. So we hand stitch all this.
You use some kind of a special needle to...
Curved needle. We use a curved needle.
Okay. I noticed the pattern is really interesting.
Yeah, so sanded down.
So you got a guy that specially just details these ones
yeah.
right here. Yeah, really a lot of work.
Does a really good job.
Yeah, it's beautiful. See. Man, that's going to look great on you. Okay, and then you were going to do a little bit of seatbelt work for us also?
Yes.
Okay, they're not finished. We got to bring them back, but maybe you can explain the
okay,
the
so
stitching.
We did the seatbelt stitching as original. Mike.
A specific pattern on that?
Yeah, and I know you've restored these.
Yeah,
the color.
they're as close as I can get them. Yeah, and that's the only surviving tag we had on there. So
yeah, so we restitched them. I don't know if you can see them. You might have to
let me zoom in on that.
Zoom in on that. Nice and black.
Right. So I'm going to send those back to you at a later date as soon as they get the other ends finished.
Yep.
And we can get those sewn up and put back on the car.
Sounds good.
All right, Dorian, thank you very much. We appreciate all you've done for us. Car's looking fantastic.
Awesome.
We'll see you on the next trip.
Can't wait to see it.
So we want to thank Dorian and all the guys at Autism International for taking real good care of us on that. And actually his guy, Carlos, is a specialist technician on these headrests. He's the one that did these for us and just did a beautiful job getting these back to pristine original condition. The seat belts will go over in the next video. We'll go through the rebuild process, restoration process, and get those put in the car also. So let's go ahead and move in closely and we'll take a look and see exactly what's going on with these headrests. So I was asked a while back by one of our viewers, Dan Wood. Dan had asked, is there anything that I will not do or won't take on regarding restoration? And yes, actually there is things that I won't do or won't even attempt. In the case of this headrest here, this is definitely one of them. So as you can see here, the skill level that is needed to do the stitch work here and experience and expertise getting the inner core fitted and everything dialed in just right. I can tell just by looking at it, there's no way I can get there. This is one of those cases where it's just best left up to the professionals. So it really just depends on a case-by-case basis. But yes, I definitely have my limits. So moving on then to our final assembly and installation, there is quite a few different ways to put these seats in the car and get them installed safely. The way we're going to do it today is we're actually going to pre-fit our seat backs. I've already got one of them done here. As you can see, I've been fooling around with that a little bit. I have one of them that I have not pre-fit. We're going to go over that one step by step so you can see what's involved. Once we have the seat backs set in the seat bottoms and everything's going to work out just fine, I'm going to take it apart. We're going to lay it on the bench and then we're going to install the headrest to the seat back while it's on the bench. That's going to be the best location to work with it, get everything worked out just so. Then we're going to take the seat bottoms out to the car. We're going to install those first with the rails in the car, and then we're going to slide the seat backs and headrests in place after that and screw them in. So taking a look at our first one here that I've got cut out. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to mock up and set up the screw hole location and then cut away the area so we can get our screws threaded through there safely. So by feeling around, you can kind of feel this first hole here if you're not on any kind of stitched area. It's real close to the bottom edge and in about 15/16 of an inch from that outer edge there. And let's just take a look at our measurements there. So we're looking at about 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. The first thing we want to do is we want to cut a horizontal line, very small line, right there. We don't want to cut our vertical lines yet. Right there. And then we want to make sure that we're in the ballpark. So there it is. Alright, so we know we're going to work. And we can mark this side. It's probably better. Using a nice sharp blade and being very careful not to overcut. And then same on the other side. Start our first hole and just check it. Right there. And if you haven't run a tap down these holes already, now's a good chance to do it. And then just a quick look at our tap size, 6mm by 1.0 thread pitch. Okay, so at this point, we're just basically drawing it down till it's snug. We're not really tightening things up. We just want to make sure all our screws are going to go in. We don't have any upholstery issues that are holding things up. In this case, it looks like it's going to tuck right in there. So let's go ahead and pull it apart now. So our seat hinges are going to work out for us. So next what we want to do is we want to very gently remove these screws and clamps, and then we're going to polish these screw heads up on a buffing wheel. And next we want to set the headrest up so that the stem of the headrest is just touching and resting on the seat back. And I'm going to set it up there for strength. This is an adjustable headrest in height, but the problem with that is, with this design here, is the higher up we go, the more leverage we create on these screws here. You can actually pop it back out of that framework in there, and we definitely don't want to go there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide it down until it touches. I'm going to screw my clamps in place right here. I'm going to tighten up our set clamp here, mark our tape, and then we're going to cut that tape away so that it has some protection underneath that turn screw that's going to hold it in place. Okay, so here's our clamp locations. I've got that marked with a Sharpie. Loosen that back up now. And I'm going to cut away this area and leave some tape underneath. And then our side profile. So I'm going to catch the other one up to the same state, and then we'll take them outside and get them installed. So probably the first place to begin here with the way I'm going to install these seats is with the seat rails in the car. These seat rails are in place with the bolts just slightly snug. And so what's happening here is I'm sliding the seat bottom in from the front, and as it tracks along the seat rail, that's going to true it up left to right and even everything out until we're running back and forth nice and free. Once you have that setting, you can gently glide the seat out, and then we can torque down our screws on there, and then we're ready to go for the final go around. But without that initial setting there, you could have a little bit of a bend in one of them, in which case it would pinch down your tracking. Okay, so then the first thing we want to do here is not use any grease on the rails. I'm using like a silicone dry lubricant. This is what I'm using here, and I'm just putting it on the seat bottom rail, shooting it down the inside of the rail, and nothing inside the cab. passenger side rail first. So I'm just shooting it down, letting it run down inside of the runner. Lift the lever. And then release, next adjustment. I think that's going to work just fine. And they're definitely heavy. And on this side, we want to be careful of the steering wheel and the gear shifter. Setting it down in there. Okay, that one's just a little bit tight coming in. So what that means, I need to adjust one of these rails. It's either too far in or too far out. Let me adjust that tracking and see if that'll loosen up. Okay, so that's a little bit better. So I just loosened up these screws here, and that helped guide this in the proper alignment with the other side. That's going to work. Okay, here we go. Got our doors open here for a much better look now at our interior. So both bottoms are in place. We got good alignment on our tracks, and screws are set. So now we're just going to carry in our seat backs. We'll start with the passenger side. We'll Loctite the screws in place. That'll help lubricate and seal the threads, and I think that should do it. And we'll just get these screws started. We'll do the other side, and then we'll finish torquing everything once we seat it and like everything. A little Loctite. Okay, so we got the passenger side in there now. Let me go ahead and throw together this driver's side. I think you pretty much get the basic idea there. I'll put this side together, we'll take a look at it, and then we'll go over one last detail that's missing on the rebuild here. Talk about that a little bit, and then wrap her up. All right, we're looking good now. So we got both seats in there. We just got a couple details we need to go over here. So one of those details is the front adjustment knob, and I've left this off until our seats were installed. And the reason I did that was because it can get hung up as we're bringing the seats into the car. We either damage the knob or damage some upholstery. So got a little Loctite on there. I'm just going to press it in place. And then this side also. And then the last detail that's really important, unfortunately we can't do anything about it at this time. There are a couple of buffers on each seat that mount over this ear here. So you got one of the ears on the outside and on the inside there, and that's on both seats. And what's supposed to happen there, it has a real thick buffer with a notch in it, and that notch cradles this hinge as it comes down into it. So we're not metal to metal. As we come down there, it actually has something substantial to lay into and absorb shock. And on the other side, we have that lock mechanism. It'll help tighten that up and take out some of the slack. So unfortunately, I don't have those pieces. It's an aftermarket item, and they're currently in production from what I'm being told, but have not been able to find anything until now. So as soon as I get those in, we'll take a look at them, we'll put them on, and we'll go over them at that time. And then a close-up look at our finished product on the back side. And our passenger side. So now we're really coming down to the end of the line here on our finished work on our interior. Just got our doors to hang and interior door panels. And that'll pretty much wrap it up for the interior of our car. So I would like to give out a really big thanks to the guys over at Autism International for the beautiful work they've done here and working with us on this project the way they have, allow us to do some of the work, and they take over the hard stuff for us. And special thanks to Carlos for just doing a banner job on these headrests. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.